do a little express Pilates workout today, roughly 20 minutes, hopefully covering a few important things. So if you like, you can have a cushion for your head, just for comfort, or a little towel or some such things, and we won't use any other props today. So we will come and lie on your back to begin, finding that nice sense of the weight of your head dropping back into your cushion. Lovely heavy rib cage dropping down into the floor. Little curve for your lumbar spine and a nice heavy pelvis. So we're just going to start with a gentle little rock from one side to the other. So to start with, see if you can keep this movement just in your pelvis. So like you've got a little seesaw running from hip bone to hip bone. And we're just going to maneuver those hips up and down without anything else really needing to move. You may well find that one side moves more freely than the other. Don't worry about that too much for now, just make a mental note of it. And then from here, as we continue to tip your hips, we're just going to let one thigh bone start to go for a little reach forwards, like someone's just giving that leg a little bit of a pull. So your pelvis will be starting to do a little bit more of a 3D twist now as we come forward and back. A bit of that sense of freedom through your lower spine. And then just coming to pause in the center. So if it's more comfortable as we come into a little bridge, you're welcome to take the cushion away from your head if you wish. So we're going to dig those heels into the floor and just come straight up with those hips and straight down. So as we come into this little bridge, you can think of a little gather together of those sit bones at the top and a little widen at the bottom. And I'll let the front of your rib cage just ease down towards your hips. A little roll forwards of those inner thighs. And then last one of those. So now we're going to come back and combine that with that little twist. So your right thigh bone is going to reach forward so much that it brings your hips up. Your other side comes to meet it, and then we lower and we lower. So we're going to continue in this nice sort of circular motion with your hips. See if you can keep the front of your rib cage quite soft and really relax completely at the bottom. So we're going to have that sense of everything switching on, everything switching off. As we make that little over the rainbow action with your hips. And then we're just going to go back the opposite way, leading forward with that left side first. So you can imagine, if you like, that there's someone where your ceiling meets your wall, reaching down and just giving one leg a pull and then one leg a release. As we come up and around, let your ribs be heavy as you relax down to the floor. More time. Alrighty, so from here, once more, we're going to boost those hips up into your bridge. Have a little check that those ribs are just staying nice and calm in the front. And then we're just going to start to go for a little walk. So we just fold one leg towards your chest and then stand that foot down onto the floor. So as you commit the weight into your supporting heel, see if you can allow that sit bone to draw to your midline and push in towards your thigh bone. We're going to do that 2 more times. And then we're going to pause and we're just going to lower and lift into a little single leg bridge situation here. See if you can keep a nice balanced seesaw of your pelvis. I'm going to do that 3 more times. And then we're going to hold at the top and just come down a couple of inches and then reconnect. So it's just a small lower and lift. A little wrap of your inner thighs to your center line to bring your pelvis up. Think of keeping a nice even space between your ribs and your hips. Going all the way down and up and up. We drop and lift and halfway and lift. Just 2 more times. Little drop and lift and last set. Down. Nothing fancy. We swap sides. So we find that little lift and lower. As you're coming up and down, see if you can encourage your knee to reach straight forward and drop straight back rather than driving over the center line or veering over into the place where the broken down cars go. What does one call that? I forget. Twice more. And then we hold up there and we lower and we lift. Centimeters. So we're going to find that nice sense of that wrap of that sit bone into your center line. Little push into your big toe. And then we drop and we lift halfway and we lift. Dropping down, boosting up halfway and we boost. Lower, press, halfway and lift. Alrighty, relax those hips all the way down. Lengthen your legs. You can hug one leg towards you and just stretch it towards the ceiling, finding a little bit of a hamstring stretch if you will. You can just take your legs to wherever you feel they need to be. See if you can keep your underneath heel stretching away from you rather than letting it swing out to the side. So we get a little opening through the front of that hip as well. And then from there, just bring yourself in towards that leg. And then have a little drop of your tail and a little lift. A little drop and a little lift. We're going to do 2 more of these little preparations. And then from there your hands can come behind your head and we take that into a little stuck scissor. So your pelvis is doing a little roll back and forward to move your legs. We're going to do 4 more of those. Trying to keep my neck relaxed. You'll be able to tell if it's not relaxed and my voice gets shaky. And then this time we just lower and lift your legs, keeping your pelvis still. Little wrap of that supporting sit bone to your center line as we go. And then we rotate towards that leg and come back. Have a little hug of your supporting sit bone into that midline. Your leg can just be at the height that feels good. If needs be, a little soft bend in the back of that knee. And then you may know what's coming next. We're going to find a little scissor crisscross. So we reach and change, keeping a nice low and heavy tailbone. Reaching across. On our next one, we come through center, relax down, and just find a quick hamstring stretch. So you can have a little moment to find where you need to be. You can go for a little push and release of those hands if you like. And then from there, curling yourself towards your leg. Over that underneath leg. And we just go for that little tuck of your pelvis a few times. So just finding that little rock on your sacrum, that lowest part of your spine. Hands behind your head and we rock and release. So for this first set, the only reason your legs are moving is because they are attached to your pelvis, which is in the driver's seat. I'm going to do 2 more of those. And then we switch to a little lower and lift of those legs. Flexing your feet if you're feeling the fronts of your hips, maybe getting a little grabby. See if your last 2 ribs can stay down on the mat. And then we reach across and we come back. Wide shoulder blades as you reach across. We go 4, 3, hugging sit bone to the center line. And then from there, we scissor crisscross, reaching across, opposite armpit to opposite leg. tug of your knees to your chest. If you like, you can stretch your legs away, reach your arms overhead and just let everything go. You can let your ribs pop, you can find a little arch of your back just so we get a bit of a stretch through those abs. And then we're just going to stand those feet on the floor. So you can, if you wish, have your feet together or slightly wider as we come into a little hip roll. So we're going to let your knees roll away from your screen as your head rolls towards it. And then have a little pause in the centre, and we just keep going for a little rock from side to side. I quite like to do wide knees and find a little tuck at the end of that roll, just to get a little bit of sneaky extra opening through the front of the hip. But you can have a play with what feels best for you. Last one, and then we'll sneak those legs back into the centre. So this is becoming a little bit of a B standard exercise. So I'm going to throw it in here today. If you want the bonus challenge, you're welcome to grab a set of ankle weights if you have them available and pop them on. Otherwise, it is plenty challenging without them. So we will pop your cushion between your ear and your shoulder if you wish. And then we're going to bring the soles of your feet towards your screen. Grab your top hip, make a little space. Top leg hovers. And then we have a little lift and a little lower. So we're just drawing a little wedge up towards the ceiling. We want to just keep that leg where you can keep your hips still rather than letting it swing behind you with wild abandon. If you're desperate to do that, you can do a couple of those when we're done here. We're going to turn that toe in and we do 8 more. See if you can keep space between your ribs and your hips. Push that leg away like you're pressing through water. Just slightly. Really invite that lower back to stay as still as it can. So we're just working through that hip. And lift, and out, and lift, and in. Carry on, just drawing that nice elongated horseshoe shape in the air. Oh, rest that leg down. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can maneuver myself so that you can see my legs and the microphone can still pick up my voice. Awesome. So from here, we are going to find a little lift. Can't quite see my legs. There we go, that'll suffice. So we're going to find a little lift and hover of those legs off the floor. You can either keep a little push into your hand to connect into the back of that shoulder or bring it to your hip. Both valid options. And we're just going to go for a little turn out in them. I'm just going to hang out down here today. So we're going to think about an old-fashioned pair of tights with the seams at the back. And we're going to see if we can draw those seams to meet. They just drew a line with eyeliner. Maybe that will work for the pandemic as well. Alrighty, keep that turn out. And we draw that top leg up to a little retire and slide back down to your heel. Thinking about drawing along that little invisible seam with your toes. Maybe you are holding that eyeliner in your toes. We're going to do that 3 more times. Reaching up. Last one up there, and we just let that top thigh bone turn in and out. So we want your toe to stay by your knee. So again, we are using your hip. And you may feel your obliques getting involved here as well. We're going to do that twice more. And then thinking of our little hip release, we're going to go for a little scoop down and come back. Just finding that little pivot inside that hip joint. Little scoop and bring it back. There you go, 4. Keeping hips square. And then sliding that leg back down. You can just bend those knees, and we're just going to do a lovely little arm clamp here, shoving pillow out of way. So just find a little interlace of your hands and then open your book and then come back. I hope you all have some good reading material for the pandemic. Feel free to recommend anything in the comments below. I'm always up for a good read. Currently listening to Centre Centre by James Whiteside on Audible. It is awesome. It is hilarious. I highly recommend. Look him up. He's an awesome principal dancer with ABT. DJ and all manner of cool things. Fancy transitions. We're just going to head to the other side. Okie dokie. So, stretching feet to camera. Top leg comes up. And we lift. And we lower. Hopefully that side that we worked so hard has had a chance to have a little bit of a reprieve before we have to stay on it for quite some time. Push up through that heel. And then we head up with the heel, down with the toes. Reaching long and away through your hip. Here we go, 4, 3, twice more. That leg is going to turn out now. We lower and lift. You'll probably find that you won't get a lot of rotation of your leg in this position. We want to think of a little push from your inner thighs to bring the leg up here. And then we alternate, finding a little Charleston action with that leg. Dipping down, pressing up, and heel, and lift, and toe, and lift. Okay, it might be longer than 20 minutes because we're going to finish this side. The last one. Relax that leg all the way down. Okie dokie, stretch your legs away. Turning them out, find a little lift. I got overexcited. We slide up and we slide down. Keeping that underneath leg hovering off the floor and making sure we have the proverbial mouse hole under your waist. We are allegedly pest-free in Miramar. The only current pest is the Delta variant. We're going to do that 2 more times. We will find that position and we turn that thigh bone in and out. Press into your hand and 2 hip bones shining straight to your screen. See if you can keep that underneath leg turning out. So that sit bone is going to roll towards your screen. Release. We have a little scoop and lift. Dipping down and coming up. Just getting that nice little action going in your hip. We go 4 and 3. Maybe it will be 20 minutes. All right, bring that cushion away, interlace behind the back of your head, and we're just going to go for 8 of those lovely arm clams. If you like, see if you can let your top hip move forward slightly as your rib cage moves back, so you may just get a slightly deeper spiral through your spine. You'll find what feels good. Top hip, do the opposite, letting it slide back, and see what that does for you. That you need, and it may be different from one side to the other, and that's fine. We are not symmetrical. Just finish off with a little bit of a stretch. So, options, because hips are made in different ways. People tend to feel hip stretches differently. So you can go cross-legged. If you need a bit of support, feel free to grab a cushion, lift your pelvis up so you're going to have a little bit more space. You can go into a little sort of fire log pose with your heel opposite your knee. Personally, I find this stronger than that one, but it will depend on your hip. Some people are the opposite way around. I'm just going to hang here for today. So we're just going to have a little press of those fingertips into the floor, hinge yourselves forward, and just hang out for a moment. And then you can just make a little snaky action with your spine. So we're just going to move that hip, move that stretch from one side to the other. If you've got your foot up, you can think about your outer foot pushing down towards your thigh slightly. Find what feels best in your hip and your knee. And then just walk your hands over towards your front leg. And then just go for a little push down into the floor and come back. That's a flattering angle with my hair. Other side stretch. And then maybe coming all the way up and over to find a lot of a side stretch. Swing around, come back through the centre, and we'll just do the same on the other side. So you may find that your two hips, that you need to be in a slightly different position with your foot. Do what you need to do. I have two completely different hips, but that's another story for another day. Alrighty, folding yourselves forwards. And once you get there, just go for a little snaky action. So we're going to use a little bit of movement in our stretches today so we can keep your muscles lengthening and then contracting rather than just letting them lengthen and become like overstretched chewing gum or mozzarella cheese. Round to your leg. You can just go for that little push, little wiggle, find what you need. Little twist of your spine one way then t'other way. It's quite a nice option. And then just come around the corner, find a little side stretch. Drop down towards the floor. And then just swing yourselves round through centre. One more thing, let's just stretch your feet out in front of you. I'm just scanning for space. So we're just going to do a nice little twist. We're going to go for a little rock one way, have a little push into your hand as you look over your shoulder, and then rolling up and over to scan round the other side. So it's like you're following a car or a ship around a bend. Where's it going? Can I come? Push through your hands so we can invite some nice space through your shoulders. And then we're just going to add a little reach with your arm. Have a little reach for the stars. Sing the song if you like. And then you can either do a few more of those, or if you like, add a little lift of your hips and then drop. Finding a little bit of momentum. Up and over. And then just come through centre. If you like, just have a little stretch down there. Do what you need. And that is us cooked. So we've had a little bit more of our lower body and core focus today. So maybe in my next one I'll do a little bit more of an upper body focus. If there are any requests, please feel free to pop them in the comments below. And I'll see you when I see you. Ka kite.